I've just finished building my 6th investment property in the last 10 years, and I can say it is one of the funnest things that I do in my life. You know, the thought of creating something from absolutely nothing is gold. But in today's video, I wanted to explain some of the reasons why I build brand new and why you might be thinking about it. And I also want to explain the entire process of start to finish so that you understand this stuff, and instead of it feeling like a big scary monster or overwhelming task, you start to piece it together and get your confidence up to do this properly. G'day there, my name's Ben Everingham. I'm the director here at Pumped on Property. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Now, I know there's a lot of people online that talk absolute rubbish, but this video is based on my personal experience of building 6 properties and helping clients from all over the world buy property and build property in Sydney and Brisbane over the last 5 years. So in terms of the reason why I build, I find it super easy and I find it actually therapeutic. It's kind of nice to do something outside of my day job that's creative, that's fun, that's gonna get the right outcome for me financially as well. I also love the fact that with brand new property, it's extremely low maintenance and I don't have to stress about it or think about it for at least the first 5, if you do it well 10 years after the investment. Now, as somebody who earns money and a little bit of money, I can say that the depreciation benefits that the government in Australia is so fortunate to get at the moment as an investor really help out. Now, I recently built a home worth $400,000, or it wasn't a home, it was an investment property. I haven't got the depreciation schedule yet, but my partner at BMT has told me that I should be looking to receive around about at least $15,000 a year of tax savings just from that one transaction. Now, a few years ago, I built another property worth $300,000 and I save about 12 grand in the first 3 years on tax just from that deal. So you can start to see why there's big tax advantages there. That could be taken away at any time. So you should still not just be building to save some tax, just in case that gets taken away down the line. Also, when I build, I get higher rental returns, which is something that I love and a big reason why I do it. You know, in most suburbs that I go to and build, I don't go and build in the greenfield sites where everyone else is doing it. I build in infill, really high quality areas of like Sydney or Brisbane. The high rent returns certainly help my cash flow and enable me to keep moving forward. I also like the fact that if you buy the land at the right price, in the right market at the right time, you get the quality build at the right price at the right time, I can actually make a little bit of equity or a bit of money on the way in, which gives me some of my deposit back and reduces my risk position. As I said before, I think it's a lot of fun too. And you know, any good asset, whether it's brand new or existing, should still tick the timing box, should still tick the long-term capital growth box, and should still give you great cash flow. So let's get into the nuts and bolts now of exactly the building process explained from right now wherever you are to the absolute end of it. Now, the first thing when building is to, like any other property that you're buying, because just because you're building, I can see that that's not very straight, I apologize for that. You know, regardless of if you're building or buying an existing home, the first thing that you need to do is identify the right market. Now, this is super simple to do, but for some reason, people just can't get their bloody heads around it. Now, to identify the right market is as simple as jumping online, Googling HTW plus month in review report. Now have a look at the residential report. It'll tell you what's happening in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Geelong, Wollongong, the Northern Territory, Canberra right now this month, and where each of those markets are at. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize the best time to buy a market is at 6 o'clock or at the bottom of a market or at 9 o'clock when the market's starting to rise in value. But so many people don't take this into consideration. They don't look at the Hare and Todd White report or what BIS Strapnell are saying or what Phil Anderson's saying or what CoreLogic's saying or what SQM Research is saying. I think you're getting the pattern. There's so many people talking about this and they buy at the top or they buy a declining market. So get your market right, and that's what's going to set you up for a good long-term home or investment. Now, the next thing that you do is obviously identify the right suburb. Now, in identifying the right suburb is simple. Identify, let's say you're buying in Sydney. Now, if we look at Sydney, there's the northern beaches, there's the eastern beaches, there's the inner west, and there's the south side, and they would be probably what I'd describe as the highest quality markets in Sydney to invest in. In Melbourne, for example, it's eastern Melbourne or around the city. In Brisbane, it's east Brisbane, it's the city, or it's north Brisbane in terms of where the owner-occupiers live and where the higher prices are. So identify the right area of wherever you're buying. You know, maybe you're doing it in Wollongong. Get involved in the best bit of Wollongong, North Wollongong, for example. And then once you've identified the region inside the city or the regional area you're buying in, you know, reduce it down to a series of suburbs, one you can afford, that also look good on paper. Now, once we've got the right suburb in place, it's then time to go talk to a mortgage broker about finance. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've spelt that wrong. I'm not going to fix it up, I'm just going to leave it. But finance has been bloody hard to get for building in Australia for the last 3 years. But in the last few months, or the last month in particular, it's become much easier. There's massive amounts of grants going into that space, and the government wants people to be building for the next few years because building creates jobs, and jobs equal a more stable economy. So get your finance in place, find out what you can borrow. There's no point talking about building if you can't afford to do it. So go talk to your mortgage broker. A broker should be able to help you understand what you can afford, and you can work through the process with them. Then it becomes the fun part. Once you've got the suburb right, once you know what you can afford, we then get to go find the piece of land. Now, like I said before, if I can help it, I don't buy in big greenfield estates a long way from the city centre or a long way from the beach. I like to find knockdown sites, or I like to find, you know, infill sites in good quality areas, because just because it's brand new doesn't mean it's good. And I want to shake the camera there. Just because it's brand new does not mean it's a good investment. So get your market suburb right, and make sure you follow the rules that I talk about in other videos where I talk about the fundamentals of investing. Now, if we look at the right piece of land, for me, you're looking at, you know, somewhere between 400 meters squared plus. If you're talking about properties that I buy for my own portfolio now, I really have a minimum land size of 600 square meters, with a lot of the properties that I own having well over 900 square meters, because land is where the value is. So buy the infill block if you can afford it. Buy the knockdown in the better quality suburb if you can afford it. If you can't, then stick to the fundamentals I talk about in other videos. Now, the fifth thing is the builder. Now, you'd think that this would be an easy part of the process, but for a lot of people, this is the most tricky part, because unfortunately the Australian building industry is filled with cowboys. Like, there's no other way to say it, but it's just filled with cowboys that will give you a really good price coming in and then stitch you up after. So when we're talking about finding the right builder, the first thing you want to find is the right design and the right site plan. Once you've got the right design and the right site plan in place, then you can take that to 3 or 4 or 5 different builders, get them to quote an apple versus an apple. And what you want is, you know, the highest level of quality, obviously in a reasonable period of build time, and you want to get it for the best possible price. Now, if you're interested in building in Southeast Queensland, I've got some contacts up here that I'd be happy to introduce you to. Just jump over to our website, www.pumpedonproperty.com, and let us know if you need something. Alternatively, we do help a small number of clients each month find a great piece of land for investment, partner with the right builder, and walk through this entire process, so you don't just get a great build product, but you get the best piece of land in the best market at the best time. Once you've got the site plan, what you really want is a fixed price. Now, this is so important, because this is how most people, especially first-time builders, get absolutely stitched up. They might get you in it with a $200,000 price, and by the time it's all said and done, you paid $250,000 and you're pulling your hair out, or it's already fallen out because of the stress and the pressure of it all. So that's that. You don't have to worry about things like certification if you've got the right builder. The builder should do all the certification on your behalf. Then we get to the process of actually building. So you've got the piece of land, you've got finance in place, you've got the right builder who's helped you with the design, the best price, certifications. Then we start building. Now, for some reason, some builders just cannot get their stuff together and they take 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to build a standard home or investment product. That shouldn't be the case. It is so simple to build if you're with a company. It really is just a sausage factory of going boom, 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 boom. You want a builder that runs a tight ship. The builders that I work with build in, somewhere between 12 to 20 weeks, depending on the product. They also provide wholesale rates for people that we introduce them to. Once you've got the building complete, and it shouldn't take that long, then the next step, which is very important, is the defects. Now, a lot of people miss this step. They trust that the builder's done the right job. But unfortunately, because of my experiences, I don't trust anyone anymore in terms of builders. So what I do is I get a company called handovers.com.au to go and check out the property for me. They provide a full report on everything that hasn't been done to standard from the builder. They give that report to me and the builder. The builder comes back, fixes all of those things, and then handovers.com goes back out and sorts it out for me again. After we've done the defects, which in every build there's going to be a maintenance period. Generally the builder's got about 10 weeks to fix those things up, and there's always going to be a few things to fix up. Nothing is perfect. The better the quality of the builder, the less involved you actually have to be. Like, I deeply trust the builders that I work with now. I still go to the site once every few weeks to notice things, but generally they've got my back now, and a good builder should have your back. They should communicate regularly with you. One of the last things is then management. Again, I'm talking about investment properties here. Obviously, if it's your own home that you've just built, congratulations, move into it, enjoy it. Don't pick it apart too much. But management's important, so I get management involved. What I want is a good property manager who understands quality, who is right on top of the tenant, that keeps the place in the best condition possible. And then after management, I think about it from a tax perspective. So what I do there is I get someone like BMT or Washington Brown, who are tax depreciation specialists, to create me with a report. And as an investment, then I give that report to my accountant, and that's where I save those tax dollars, which is gold. So the process of building is actually super, super simple. You identify the right market, the right suburb, you go get your finance, you find a beautiful, great piece of land, you find the right builder, which helps you with the design, price, certification, fixed price. Then you build, which doesn't take as long as it should, and just ask the builder that up front. You get the defects sorted out, you get it managed, and you get the tax benefits. And then hopefully, if you've done it all right, the property long-term grows in value, gets you great tax benefits. You don't have to think about it too much with the right team in place. And you just kick back from there with the cash flow, own it outright in the future, and do whatever it is you really want to do with your life. Because you've got to remember that building or property, investing or ownership is purely about getting you from where you are today to where you want to be in the future. So for those of you interested in building, especially if it's an investment and you like single income quality property on the beach or close to the city, or you like dual income property like I do that gives you two incomes, but you don't just want to buy it 40 k's from the city in some crappy area, then we've helped our clients buy over $200 million worth of property in Brisbane and Southeast Queensland, the Sunshine Coast. We'd love to have a conversation with you to talk about where you are, where you'd like to be down the line. Please jump over to www.pumpedonproperty.com. If you know someone who's thinking about building that this video would be helpful for as a bit of a guide on what to do step by step, please share it. Please give us a thumbs up and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel where we put out this type of content each week. But cheers guys, I wish you all the best. It's not as scary as you think it is, but it is new, and anything new takes a little bit of time to feel comfortable with. So all the best and have a great experience building. Cheers.